Well, the trial of honeymoon murder accused Shrien Dewani continues in the Western Cape High Court, with the cousin of the slain Swedish bride now on the stand. Sneha Mashur, the first cousin of Anni Dewani, is one of the main prosecution witnesses in that case. At the same time, Xolile Mgeni, one of the men convicted of that killing, died of cancer over the weekend, 2 years into his life sentence. Mngeni had a brain tumour and died in the Goodwood prison on Saturday. Well, Clifford Gordon is with CL Gordon Attorneys, and he joins us now from our Pretoria studios. Good afternoon, Clifford, and thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.
Good afternoon, thank you very much.
How will Mngeni's death affect the state's case against Dewani?
Well, if he was on the witness list, then they will have to find another way to to prove that Mr. Dewani was in fact the mastermind behind the killing. And if he wasn't on the witness list, well, then it won't affect the trial at all because he wasn't going to testify.
Mngeni was, we know, admitted to a hospital in Cape Town in June, and the Medical Parole Advisory Board did recommend that he be given medical parole, but the judge, we know, saw it differently and denied that parole. How are applications evaluated, Clifford? Many of the view that this is just perhaps a deceitful campaign to get out of jail without taking responsibility. But in the case of Mngeni, he did suffer from a genuine terminal illness.
Well, yes, he did. He had a brain tumor, and the medical experts would have given their recommendations to the prison authorities, and that's where the recommendation would have come from to give him medical parole. But the judge might have also taken into account that he didn't have sufficient medical care outside of prison, and in order to get that medical care, it would have actually been better for him to be in prison.
Prison conditions, yes, we see in the country cropping up in the Dewani extradition case. We also see it in the Oscar Pistorius pre-sentencing trial. A delaying tactic, do you think, or do the defense actually have a leg to stand on from a legal perspective?
Well, the conditions in prison are not that different from conditions worldwide. They are not great. The very basic needs are taken care of prisoners. You get food, you get your water, you get your sanitation, albeit not very private, but you get it. And there are overcrowding in the cells, but certain categories of prisoners, for example, your murderers and people who have committed very serious crimes, are often kept in a single cell for quite a lot of their sentence and are only released more into a general prison population when they're almost ready to be released. So someone, for example, like Shrien Dewani, if he is convicted, will likely, for most of his sentence, not have contact with the average the average prisoner in our prisons.
Very quickly, Clifford, what is it that the defense will have to prove succinctly to avoid jail terms for its clients?
Well, in general, to avoid a jail term, you would have to look at the seriousness of the offence. For example, if it's an assault, a minor assault, someone might just get a fine for that. You'd have to look at the prevalence of the offence. So if it's an offence that happens a lot in a certain jurisdiction, for example, in Randburg Magistrates Court, you have very many shoplifting cases. So a magistrate might want to send a shoplifter to jail in order to prevent other shoplifters from going that route. What would also possibly happen is the circumstances of the accused themselves. So, for example, the background of the accused, what kind of home he came or she came from. Also, whether the person is a first offender or whether they've committed previous offences. And also whether sufficient rehabilitation and sufficient deterrent will be given to a person for committing a crime once again, if they were to if they were to go to jail, or if they were to be given, for example, a correctional supervision sentence or some kind of community service or even a fine. So yeah, those are the kind of factors that a judge and a defense attorney or a prosecutor would actually look at when they were.
Thank you, Clifford Gordon.
Out of jail.
Clifford Gordon from CL Gordon Attorneys. Thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.